What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Today I have a rundown of the Macallan Triple Cask series. We got the 12, the 15, and the 18 here. I'm gonna nose them, taste them, and give them a mark, and let you guys know which one is your best buy. Starting over here with the 12-year-old. All right. So, as this bottle is open for a while, you're going to get more of that Macallan characteristic. The sherry notes start to shine through a little bit more. It starts to open up a little bit, starts to get into the zone. This one in particular is 40% ABV. The American version of this is 43%, so have a look at that one. In Ontario, this bottle goes for $100 Canadian. In the US, you're looking at about 60 to 80, depending on where you are, US dollars. Beautiful orange notes on the nose. A light milk chocolate. Nothing off-putting. All very nice, pleasant, inviting notes. I think a higher ABV would bring in a little bit more intensity on the nose, which would obviously benefit the whiskey, but in this case we're dealing with a 40% whiskey, so something that you're going to start off your night with. On the palate, sweet, refreshing, easy drinking, nothing off-putting here. It's light, designed that way by nature. They want to appeal to as many people as they possibly can. It's a great whiskey. It's a great way to start off the night. It's a great way to acclimate your palate so that you can enjoy other higher ABV whiskeys later on that evening. The orange and light chocolate, a little bit of vanilla notes really shine through on the palate. Like I said, open up this bottle and you'll get good things as it starts to oxidize a little bit. Really, really nice. Can you tell that it's 40%? Maybe a little bit. Honestly, this is a great whiskey and one that I plan to have on my bar a lot because it's, like I said, something that will help me lead into higher ABV whiskeys later on that evening. I'm going to give this one an 80. It's an A- for me. I think it's good stuff. Is it the best whiskey I've ever had? Obviously not. In its price range, there's a lot of whiskey you can buy that are higher ABV, more for the whiskey geek, but this one appeals to the mass markets. I've let my wife try this whiskey and she actually really enjoys it. So, like I said, that's an A- for me, an 80. Next up we have the Macallan Triple Oak 15-year-old. That's 43%. This one is 150 at the LCBO. You're looking at about 100 to 120 in the US. Not overly expensive, but in and around the range where it starts to get a little bit tighter on the wallet. A little bit more magnified than the 12-year-old. I have a theory that because there's no sherry oak expression or sherry cask expression for 15, there's one for the 12, there's one for the 18. I feel like they add a little bit more sherry in the 15 than the other siblings. I could be wrong about that. The color is a bit darker than the 12, but that could be just the difference in age. Again, you get that Macallan orange characteristic, that orange chocolate that is really a staple of the Macallan distillery. For me personally, that's what I get whenever I smell Macallan. 43%. Would you pick that up on the nose? As opposed to the 12-year-old, you don't really get that much of a difference, I don't feel. Really, really nice on the nose though. On the palate, right away it's sweeter. It's a little bit more syrupy. You can tell it's a little bit more refined. I do feel that there's more sherry in this one for sure than there is in the 12, but I could be wrong. And what I mean by sherry is more European oak sherry. All three of these are ex-American oak sherry, ex-European oak sherry, and ex-bourbon cask American oak. So you're looking at 3 different casks for each one of these, but I feel like the 15-year-old has a good amount of European oak, and you could tell on the palate, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I've never fully investigated that theory, and I don't think it would be divulged even if I did. So again, $150 at the LCBO, less in other places. This one's a great whiskey. This is a great everyday type whiskey if $150 is not breaking the bank for you. It's just a well-rounded whiskey, easy drinking. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, which is nice, and it honestly checks a lot of boxes for me. Obviously, all of Macallan products are natural color. All 3 of these are chill filtered though. One last sip and I'll give it a mark. That's a high A for me. I'm thinking this is about an 87, 88. I'm not exactly sure which mark. I was teetering back and forth with it. I really enjoy it. I tend to like my whiskey a little bit higher in ABV, so for me, I'd personally go with the classic cut because it's the same price, but based on everyday availability and everyday drinking, you're going to want this on different nights. You can't always handle that high ABV, so sometimes 43% is the right spot. You don't have to add water to it. You can just drink it and just pour and play kind of thing. Last up we have the Macallan 18-year-old Triple Cask, also 43%. Okay, this is the winner on the nose for me, for sure. All kinds of beautiful notes here. I'm shocked at the amount of vanilla I get out of this whiskey. A little bit of orange as well. Out of the 3, I find that there's a little bit less Macallan characteristic in the 18-year-old than the other 2, which is weird, but that's just what I get on the nose. Yeah, just a really nice nose. On the palate. So on the palate, you got what you get from the 15-year-old, just refined a little bit more. I feel like there's a little bit more ex-bourbon cask in this one than in the 15-year-old, to be perfectly honest. It's a little less sweet than the 15-year-old. Not that that's an indication. The sweetness is not necessarily an indication. I've had super sweet whiskeys that are ex-bourbon cask only. So my guess is there's a little bit less European oak, but I could be wrong about that. Also, the spiciness is an indication as well. You get a little bit more spice out of the 15-year-old. That could be an age thing, but I think it's actually a cask thing because European sherry tends to have a little bit more spice. European oak in particular, not necessarily the sherry inside, but the oak. Beautiful nose on this one. So, here's the thing. If you like a smooth, easy drinking, refined whiskey that is not going to fight back at all, it's just going to be pour and play, no issues whatsoever, that's this one right here. It's $350, so that's out of a lot of people's price range. It's less in other countries, other states, other provinces, but in Ontario, $350. For that price, I'm going to have to say that I would prefer to go to the 15 on my palate just because the 15-year-old has that intensity that I like. But I think there's a lot of people that don't want that intensity. They don't want any fight when they're drinking their whiskey. And that's the 18-year-old for sure. If I had to mark this one, I'd probably give it an A as well. And I'd probably go with the 87. So just to recap, the 12 is an 80. The 15 is an 87 to 88. And the 18 is an 87. So all great marks. Would I buy these whiskeys? Absolutely. This one's obviously a little bit more expensive than the rest. It also has more attention to detail when it comes to the flavor profile, when it comes to a bunch of different things. It's smoother, it's more sophisticated, and the bottle obviously is beautiful. And the packaging is a little nicer as well. So that's, a lot of people don't care about any of that stuff I just said. And for that reason, they probably would want to go with the 15-year-old. I really enjoy the 15-year-old. It's an easy drinker, but it also has a little bit of a fight to it because you got a little bit more intensity from what I think is more presence of European sherry cask. So that's the rundown, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe and the bell so you get the notifications. I'm going to be doing Irish whiskey for the month of March to honor St. Patrick's Day. Hope you guys enjoy that. I have a ton of really, really cool Irish whiskeys I want to share with you guys. One including this beautiful SMWS Pastries and Sweet Treats, which is a cask strength Bushmill 15-year-old. I also have a collaboration coming up with the Mash and Drum Jason, and that'll be involving 2 Redbreast whiskeys. So stay tuned, guys. Lots to come. Cheers.